Hey everybody, it's Original Run. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thanks again guys for stopping by. I really hope you like this video I'm going to be making today because I've put a lot of effort into it, and I hope that for people who love going to conventions and really want to check out Comic Market in Japan sometime in the future, if you have not already done so, definitely watch this video because it will give you a lot of tips and tricks and advice personally from me when I was living there and the many times I've gone to Comiket. Now, for those of you wondering, you might be asking, what is Comic Market? Well, Comic Market started way back when, and I'm not going to give an entire history lesson here because that's not what the main bulk of this video is supposed to be about. But essentially, it's a large convention that Japan holds twice a year, once in August around summertime, and then once at the end of the year when it is winter. That's held at the Tokyo Big Site in Tokyo Bay. And it is a grand event that combines otaku from all over the world, and mostly in Japan, for everything from character goods to anime to visual novels to circle artists to everything you can possibly think of coming together under one roof and making a lot of doujinshi or fan works. And it's a huge convention that has a ton of people in it. And what this video is going to be pertaining to today is the tips and tricks that I've learned as an otaku myself and somebody who's a foreigner who has gone there 3 times now. Comiket 87, Comiket 88, and Comiket 89. I did not get a chance to go to Comiket 90 since I'm still back in the States, but it's gone through, and every single time I've gone through, the little tips and tricks I've learned that'll help you survive the market if you ever want to go in the future. Now, this video is dedicated to not only newbies who are new to Comic Market and are looking forward to going to it, but also to people who are seasoned veterans. Maybe you've been to it many times, maybe these tips and tricks may be quite common sense to you. Perhaps some of them will give you some advice on next time you go there if you ever want to go there in the future. Now, this video is not going to focus on the travel aspects, finding housing, and how to actually get to Comic Market. That is not something I'm interested in doing in this video. I want my video to be specifically about Comic Market and how to survive it personally from my point of view. I'm not going to really explain necessarily the entire navigation of Comic Market, although later in this video I will be going through some of the maps and how you can plan your routes and how you can get through it the most efficiently and find the things you're looking for, even if you don't have any knowledge of any Japanese language. As with any video, I will say that the internet is a fantastic resource. This video itself is not the only video out there that exists that has great advice and great tips and tricks from other people. So feel free to explore other parts of the internet because you'll find so many resources, so many websites, forums dedicated to people talking about Comic Market, and websites itself. But for the most part, I'm going to be focusing on my tips and tricks and what you can do to go there and how it can help benefit you when you ever do plan to visit it in the future. Or perhaps go back another time. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to start with the tips and tricks, and I'm going to run each bullet point across the screen here as I mention them, and I'll talk a little bit about them and what they mean. The first thing you must always do when you're preparing yourself to go to Comic Market is decide on a goal. That's the first step. Are you looking to go to Comic Market because you want to sightsee? Are you looking to go to Comic Market because you want to get some character merchandise or character goods? Are you looking for commercial merchandise from some of your favorite companies like Type Moon or the creators of Gochuma Usagi wa Deska or Sprite, who does Alcana? Whatever you're looking for. Are you looking for doujinshi specifically? Do you have a favorite circle artist? Are you really big in circle art and understand all the fan works that are out there? Maybe you're a big fan of exhentai.org, or you get a lot of those comics and manga online and then you actually want to buy them physically when you go to Comic Market. Whatever your goal may be, even if it's everything, ask yourself this, because setting yourself a goal before you go to Comic Market is the most important thing. If you plan to go there and think you can do everything, it's almost impossible. Which leads me to my second point. You cannot have everything. That is the first thing you need to understand when you're going to Comic Market. No matter how hard you try, there are Japanese people that have been doing this for years, otaku that go to this every single year. They get a group of friends together, they plan their routes out, and they get every item before it sells out. When you go there, you will be pushed around. It is crowded, way more crowded than any other convention you've probably ever been to in the United States or just in the West in general. Absolutely massive, at least 500,000 people plus every year, and it keeps growing. Statistically, more women actually go to Comiket than men do. That's very interesting. I think it's about 60% of women and 40% of men actually attend Comiket over the 3 days. So a lot of people who really like otome doujinshi and also are really into the male eye candy side of things, for females really like to go to Comic Market. It's quite surprising. So the statistics wise, I highly recommend checking out the actual official Comiket guide or Comiket website because they have statistics of all the market and how many people attend. It's fantastic. It's just amazing how they keep all these statistics. Most of it is all volunteers actually volunteering for this group. And so that's something that's also very great. But the idea here is that you can't have everything. No matter how hard you try, you will always find your merchandise sold out. If you start in the commercial section, you're going to find your doujinshi sold out. If you start in the doujinshi section, you're probably going to find your commercial merchandise sold out. So always set yourself at a lower expectation than you want if you're going to be hunting a lot of things, because you probably aren't going to get everything. Maybe you might be really lucky, but more than likely not. Each of the 3 days always has something different when you go, so it's always good to know what day items are specifically being sold out and to plan your route around that. Which brings me to point number 3. As I mentioned a little bit earlier, this is not like other conventions. If you are extremely claustrophobic, I highly recommend not going to Comic Market. It's extremely hot there, especially in the summer, since the rainy season just ended, and to keep you in mind, Japan has 4 seasons plus the rainy season, not 5 seasons. Make sure you understand the difference there. 4 seasons plus the rainy season. When the rainy season ends, it dies down and is still very humid, at least 90% humidity, if not more. And you have temperatures anywhere from 80 to 90 degrees. I'm using Fahrenheit here because that's just the system I use, but you can do the conversions yourself. Very, very hot in the summer. In the winter, it's absolutely beautiful, but even with that large crowd of people, there's so many people gathered in one place that it's extremely hot. If you're claustrophobic, I highly recommend not going. If you've been to other conventions in the past, it's not the same. It's not just open cosplay. If you are wearing a cosplay outfit and you are trying to move around the doujinshi floor, you are going to get destroyed. You are pushed in seas of people. You will not be able to navigate like you want to. To give you an example, imagine 2 tables lined up each other in a room, and then on each side of the table there's some sort of booth that's selling their fan work of their doujinshi, and as you go into the booth, as you go through the line, actually, you'll get pushed around. It takes you 20 minutes because the sea of crowd will push you through the entire thing until you can go back in. You can't just make a turnaround. It's not that easy. The convention's extremely crowded. In addition, most of the very famous circle artists are on the outside of each of the wings, and so you'll actually have to line up outside in the blistering heat while you're waiting to get in to actually go. They have signs up which will show you where the ends of the lines are. You pass that sign along, you get in line, and most of the time, by the time you get up there, half of the merchandise will be sold out anyways because so many people are trying to get what that circle artist is selling. It's incredible. That's a really big thing to keep in mind. It's not like other conventions. Go with groups of friends. If you want to do some of the sightseeing, it's fine, but it's definitely more of a goal-oriented convention. It's not so much a sightseeing, just due to the massive amount of people. Which brings me to my 4th point. Are you going to be going solo, or are you going to be doing this with friends? Now, the 3 years I went to Comic Market, which I plan to go in the future and do more videos, I have always gone solo. If you're looking to get merchandise, do it with friends. Japanese people plan this in advance. They get their groups of friends together. They all get guidebooks. They map out each station they need to go to. They split up when they get to the Comic Market and are there at least 6 to 7 hours early, standing in line, and they just read a book or do something to entertain the time. They get into the convention, they split up, they do what they need to do. Some people go to the commercial merchandise, some people go to the doujinshi works. They get what they need to, they gather back together with their 10 different bags of goodies, and then they sit down and they're done. They get done with Comic Market in those 3 to 4 hours before it actually starts dying down and everything starts getting sold out for that day. You're challenging other Japanese people who have done this for years on end. And if you think you're going to be smarter than them and have better groups of people, it's probably not going to happen. You could be, but you're going to need a lot of friends to do that. I would not be surprised if Japanese people pay other individuals to actually walk around Comic Market to get the items they want, so they have more bodies being able to do the tasks to get the items before they're sold out. You're fighting against that. So if you have a goal, make sure you know exactly what you're doing, and you have a lot of friends if you're looking for that. Brings me to my 5th point here. Plan routes and use your resources. I told you online is a fantastic resource. There are forums dedicated to this kind of stuff. You could find tons of information online. It's a great place to go. It has a bunch of different resources for you. It allows you to plan your route, see the maps, which I will be going through later in this video on how to navigate via maps, and exactly what you need to do. I'm going to give you also tips and tricks here a little later in these points of what you should do first and what you should do last, at least in my personal opinion. But again, plan your routes, use your resources. There's a bunch of different resources online, and it's great to help map out where you need to go and what you can do, even if you don't read any Japanese, which I can't read Japanese, and I navigate Comiket like a pro. Granted, I never get anything because I'm always by myself. I just know exactly where to go and what to do. It's just every time I get there, everything I want is sold out. But I did get some Comiket 90 merchandise this year, so I'm very happy. Brings me to my 6th point. Prepare the necessities before you go to Comiket, and I'm going to list these all off in a bullet point list here for you. Preparing the necessities is extremely important. first thing you need to know is that it is extremely hot in the summer, and I've already mentioned that. Bring some sort of water bottle. Pocari Sweat is the big advertisement that's used every year at Comic Market. In fact, the official artwork used for that year at each Comic Market actually has the girls holding Pocari Sweats. They're designed and labeled via the Comiket label, so it's a little more interesting, but Pocari Sweats are great. I'm not really a fan of them. I don't like the taste, but get some water bottles, get something that's easy to carry around. I highly recommend you don't get it to carry around as well, because some of these points I'm going to list here in a second also describe that you want as little as possible when you're, in this case, navigating Comic Market. You don't want to have a lot of stuff with you. It's extremely hot. If you have a hat that has like a water bottle attached to it through a backpack, don't even carry a backpack, I'm going to say, because I'll get into that as well. If you have like a hat that just runs down a little straw or something really tiny you can like attach to your chest, use it. People do this at Comic Market because they realize they need to do this. It is a task. It is an extreme task to prepare for this kind of stuff if you're really going to delve into the market. So it's hot. Understand that in summer months. It's absolutely gorgeous. Mount Fuji blows out all the dirty air during the winter. And so a lot of the times it's very clean air. It's very beautiful weather, 30 to 40 degrees in Fahrenheit again here. Absolutely fantastic. Now, me being from Minnesota, which is a very cold state in the winter, that is gorgeous weather for me. Granted, there's a lot of people, so the heat and body heat of other people will be transferred around, so it'll be a lot more hot than you expect, a lot hotter than you expect. But the idea is it's extremely hot in the summer, so prepare yourself if you are going in the summer month. Bring a fanny pack. This fanny pack should have 3 different slots in it. The 3 different slots should contain only the following: 500 yen coins, 100 yen coins, and 1,000 yen bills. If you have an extra little slot to put all your change, do it. When you get in that line and you are pushed, you stop at your booth. Most of the time, the doujinshi you're trying to buy are about 500 to 700 yen. You take out the proper coins, you unzip your fanny pack, you grab 500 yen, 200 yen, you don't get any change, you grab your book, you go on your way, you're done. If they give you change and it's something that's a little more than 1,000 yen bill, because a lot of times the most expensive stuff will mostly be 1,000 yen, put that bill in there and then keep going. Don't count your change when you're getting your change. Have a separate pouch for just random junk coins. Separate out the 500s, the 100s, and the 1,000 yen bills you get back, but carry those around with you because it makes it that much easier. Have a lot of 1,000 yen bills. Have a lot of 500 yen coins. Prepare your currency before you actually go to the comic market. You can grab your doujinshi work, you can get what you need, and go on your way. The only time you need larger amounts of money is when you go to the commercial booths up on the 3rd floor, because that stuff is a little more expensive. You'll get bundle packs for about 5,000 yen, etc. But if you're on the actual doujinshi floor, whether East Wing or West Wing, which we'll go through in a bit, bring only 500s, 1,000s, and 100 yen coins, and just have an extra slot that you don't even need to count your change. Just separate out those coins, put everything else in a small little pile in the fanny pack if you have 4 different slots, and go on your way. Zip it up, you're done. In addition to a fanny pack, carry around a plastic book tote. Now I'm going to display a picture here at the end of the video describing those plastic book totes, but essentially it's one of those little magazine totes that have the 2 clips, and you lift it up, and it literally is A4 size or whatever size you want to buy, that you could easily carry close to your chest and you can walk around with. Do not bring a backpack. Do not bring a bag. If you bring a bag, it's going to get shoved around. Things are going to get bent in it. You're not going to be able to surf through that crowd of people with a bag. The backpack is just going to make you have sweat strands down your shoulder and down your chest, and it's going to be extremely painful. Don't carry a backpack around, because then you're getting shoved around even more. You think that's a good idea, but it's not, because things are going to get bent. Bring around that little slimy, tiny plastic book tote, which I'll show you at the end of the picture. You can buy them at 100 yen shops in Japan. You can buy them before you go on your trip. If you have 2, that's fine. More than likely, you're only going to need 1, unless you're buying a ton of books. You can get a little thicker one, but as long as it's something you can just carry like a little book, as if you're like a studier from a university and you just carry your books close to your chest, it's very simple. You grab what you need, take out your fanny pack, pay for the item, put it in that thing, lock it up, put it next to your chest, move on to the next booth. Let the seas of crowds push you, the crowd of people push you. Don't carry around bags. Do not carry around backpacks. I've learned that from past experience. It's going to be a pain in the ass. Now, you might think that it is a good idea. Maybe. If you're extremely tall like I am, you can get away with it because I can carry some of that bag above my head. But my arms were killing me by the end of Comiket because I had to carry a bag above my head the whole time with heavy books, because those books do gain weight the more you buy. Since they're so thin, usually, and so small, they can easily be carried in that little tote bin. It's so much easier. In addition, you can buy a large bag, but I highly recommend buying the official Comiket bags. They have them right when you walk in. It's all the official merchandise with the artwork on it, which this year I actually got a t-shirt. I'll show you the wall scroll I picked up one year. I'll also show you the bag from Comiket 88 I got as well, because that stuff's really easy. When you use that bag, it's extremely convenient because what I recommend doing is going to the doujinshi first, buying that, then buying the bag, then going up to the commercial booth, which is a lot less crowded. You can actually move around that a lot easier. Getting the items you need up there, then go into a corner, then you have everything you need and you don't need to shop anymore. My personal recommendation. But only buy the bag at Comiket. It's about 2,000 yen. Yes, it's a little more of an investment, but don't bring a bag with you first because then you're going to have to carry that around the whole time. Only take the item when you actually need it. Seventh thing. Doujinshi first, commercial goods second, cosplay last. Say that again. Doujinshi first, commercial goods second, cosplay last. Get the doujinshi first without that bag. Get what you need. Get through that sea of people. Now, more than likely, when you finish your doujinshi hunting, most of the stuff you want on the commercial floor, and if it's something extremely popular, is probably going to be sold out. This is a sacrifice you make at Comiket. You can't have everything, especially if you're doing a solo run. You need more people. It makes it that much easier. If you start with commercial first, that's fine, but you're probably going to have the doujinshi goods sold out. If you start with cosplay, well, you're not really buying anything when you cosplay, you're just kind of sightseeing. That's why I recommend doing it last. Get the doujinshi first, then go buy your bag, go up to the commercial goods, get what you can out of the commercial goods if it's not already sold out, and then go do the sightseeing for the cosplay last, because cosplay is right outside the commercial floor in a wide open area on the third floor, out on the patio. You have a bunch of different people, you can stand in lines, take pictures. You're not having the stress of having to shop for items anymore at that point. That's why I recommend it last. If you do that first, most of the items you probably want are going to be sold out. So I recommend doing that last. Doujinshi first, commercial goods second, cosplay last. And what I mean by commercial goods, if you're kind of confused about that, is like going to actual official booths by official companies, like Type Moon's booth, or Front Wing's booth, or Sprite's booth, whatever the company, VM company, etc. That brings me to my eighth point. Eighth point I want to bring on here. Sightsee last. Do your shopping first if you have a goal set in mind, and then do the sightseeing afterwards. And then that brings me to my final point here. Make otaku friends. There are some really awesome people who go to Comiket. I've stood in line. I've been bought drinks by 3 different people while we're standing in line with me. They wanted to know about my taste in anime. They wanted to talk about PC games or visual novels in this case. They're amazing people. They want to try to practice their English. If you want to try practicing your Japanese, do it with them. I personally, they wanted to more speak Japanese because they're kind of, I guess, greedy that way. Well, at least the people I was speaking to. But they were fantastic individuals. They're extremely friendly. You're not going to get shunned. It's like any other convention. They're extremely friendly. They just don't have the confidence to speak English with you, so they're kind of afraid sometimes. It's not that they're xenophobic. It's not that they're afraid to talk to you. The only thing is that they just are worried and nervous because they don't want to screw up their English. And wouldn't you feel the same way if you wanted to speak somebody in Japanese and you're like, oh, I don't want to butcher this and sound like an idiot and be made fun of? Of course you would. That's probably how they feel too. So they're afraid. They see you, it gets intimidating to try to speak a different language to somebody. It happens. Now, as a language teacher myself, I'll tell you, don't be afraid. Go for it. You probably are never going to see these people again. And who knows? I got to hang out with some guys standing in line, especially when I was in there for 4 hours standing in line. These guys were great. They complimented me on my tattoos. We talked about a bunch of different stuff. Yes, the conversation was a little more difficult because of the English and language barrier, but it was so much fun. I met so many cool people, and you're probably never going to meet these people again. Just don't be afraid. And don't feel that people are trying to avoid you. It's because they probably just don't know what to say to you. They just aren't confident in their language ability. And I hate when people think that Japan is extremely xenophobic. It's just that they just don't know how to properly speak English, and they don't want to mess up. Wouldn't you not want to mess up? When I spoke Italian to people, or French when I was in France a bunch of times, I didn't want to mess up. Same thing here. There's great individuals. Make friends. It's a lasting experience, and you'll always learn something new. I still learn something new out of the 3 conventions I went to. My friend called me on Skype. He was standing in line at Comiket. We talked at Comiket 90, which was just last weekend. It was amazing. We just talked the entire time. And he was like, hey, thanks for entertaining me. I'm like, no problem, man. I asked him items he could probably try to pick me up. I actually ended up getting all the items I wanted. They just didn't have a lot of like Prisma Ilia shirts of Kuro, which I really wanted actually, because she's one of my favorite characters. And the Chino goods, they all kind of got sold out. Well, they were kind of all lame this year. I think it was like stupid rabbit costumes with the teacups, Maho Shoujo, and I'm like, man, that's stupid. But yeah, I ended up getting a lot of the items I wanted, so make otaku friends. And that's really all the advice I want to give in this bullet point section of the video. On this next part, I'm actually going to go into some images that I'm going to show you, not only of the merchandise I ended up purchasing, because I'm a little greedy like that, but I'm also going to show you how to navigate the map itself, the differences between East Wing and West Wing, and where the cosplay goods are. And when you come to Comiket, how it essentially works. I'm not going to go into complete detail in this next section because I don't really want to go into complete detail, but I can tell you at least how to plan for Comiket so you can do the research yourself. Even if you don't speak or read any Japanese, you can find it out. It's not that difficult. and you don't need to browse through millions and millions of forums as some genius who thinks he's, the best in the world is speaking to you like he knows everything about comic market, and then all of a sudden you're like, this is too intimidating. I can give you a nice lowdown, do this, do that, you'll be fine. You'll learn from trial and error. How do you think I learned all about Akiba? And I know it like the back of my hand. I was giving foreigners tours of Akiba. I gave 10-hour tours of Akiba where people came in. They ended up finding all the items they want. I mean, you name something, I can tell you a store, I can tell you probably the price. It's changed around a little bit since I've been there. They added the new Ami Ami store right on the strip where the Yellow Submarine used to be next to the Western Union. But, I mean, they changed a few things around, and they always change the stores around. But for the most part, I'd go there for one day, bam, it'd come right back to me. Still remember it. I still refresh my memory with it. And so the thing is, you'll learn by trial and error. Have fun. Don't feel afraid. Don't think it's going to be intimidating. But just some of the hints I went through, keep those in mind. All right. And if you say, you know what, Ren, screw you. Everything you say is dumb. I don't care. I'm still going to go anyways, even after all the warnings. Do it. Go for it. You'll learn something new. You get a new experience. I dive myself into these things. I say, you know what? I want to go to Comic Market. I just look up online, I figure out what I need to do, I find the train station, I go on an adventure. Sometimes I got lost. I think the first time I went to Comiket in Comiket 87, I got lost in the middle of nowhere. I was like, what the fuck am I doing? I was like out in Tokyo Bay somewhere. I'm like, I don't even know where the big site is. I ended up stopping at a Saizeria, got some pizza. I was like, what the heck? I don't even know where I am. It was a great experience. At the end, I only ended up getting into Comic Market with like 4 hours left because I had no idea what it was doing. It's great to explore. Maybe you're not that kind of person though. Maybe you like to be plan oriented. That's fine. I'm giving you these tips and tricks so you can get to that moment. But I'm going to go into the second part of the video here. Thanks for listening to those pieces of advice. The second part, I'm going to drop us down with the camera here and kind of show you some images I printed online. We'll go through each one, and I'll talk a little bit more about the market, okay? Thanks, guys. Okay, guys, so I've brought us down to ground level here, and I've put in the map of Comic Market. Now, when you're looking at this, I'm not going to be talking about all the individual labels on here or any of the information listed. I'm just going to be pointing with my pen how it works and kind of how you can picture it in your head. Now, this probably will make no sense to you because unless you actually go, you don't see the actual building. But essentially, the main thing that you're looking for is the following. When you come in, you'll come in on this train line right here. And the train line will probably stop around right here. You'll see the entrance right outside here, and there's a little connecting bridge. But more than likely, you have to go down on the ground level here. You climb down these stairs in the train station, and you'll actually have to walk backwards because this is the waiting line. People line up all the way from here, going up, and they climb these steps right up here where the entrance plaza is. The big Comiket TV you might see in images is listed right here as you walk in, and you can turn left to go into the building, which is more than likely what you're doing, or you can go up these stairs up here in this corner to go up to the third floor where the merchandise is, commercial merchandise, and cosplay events are. Now, as I mentioned, I usually go for the doujinshi stuff first, and then I go into the commercial goods, and then usually the cosplay. Now, in this case, how it works is that this is the waiting line. Now, this waiting line goes all the way back, and it curves all the way back over here and keeps going, in this case, east, all the way, at least a mile. And if you've watched another Comiket video of mine, you've noticed that I've went all the way to the bridge crossing over Tokyo Bay, and we walked all the way down, and then we take a big right, and then the groups merge, and then you walk into the building. Now, there are groups, essentially, is how they split them up. There's like a big crowd of people here, and then there's a big crowd of people here, and then there's a big crowd of people here. So there's like 3 big crowds standing in this section, and it does that the entire way back. They stand in crowds, and they move the crowds together. You have one group leader that kind of redirects you and moves the crowds forward as it opens up at 10 a.m. each day. Usually it closes around 5, I believe. So for the most part, everything dies down around 3, and then the last 2 hours are kind of just like getting a chance to socialize and go check out some like not as popular booths, which is a great time because you can see some really indie artists and just great people who write some great stuff. So definitely something to check out. When you actually start walking up the entrance plaza, the first thing you'll do is you'll actually probably turn left into this building right here. Now when you walk in, right along here, you can see that pen mark right there. As you walk in, on the end of the map before you actually turn, there is a booth right here, as I'm pointing there, that has all the official Comiket merchandise on the left side. I'll show you an image of that very shortly here. And essentially that merchandise is everything from, you know, calendars to the posters you might have seen. If you want a 2016 calendar with the official artwork, you can get the official, you know, bag that I mentioned. I'll show you that when we're all done showing this map here. All that stuff can be purchased right here. If you want some kind of souvenir from Comiket, this is the place to go. Usually anything is less than 5,000 yen. You spend a little bit of money, have a little bit of cash on you, go ahead and do this. I highly recommend it. I bought a t-shirt this year because I want an official t-shirt. The last couple of years I bought, well, I had my friend buy me a t-shirt essentially for Comiket 90. Last couple of years I bought in the wall scroll, as you saw, the tapestry from Comiket 88. I also bought a calendar for Comiket 89, calendar for Comiket 87. They're great stuff, and I'll show you all that here at the end of the video. But that's the place to go. Then essentially you have an option. When you're in this hall, there's ATMs right here, especially from JP Bank. JP Bank, the ATMs are right in this corner here. A big circle there. Right in that corner when you walk in and take a right. If you want to get increments of 1,000 yen, this is the place to get it. It's probably the best place to buy or get money out of ATMs because you don't need to take it out in throws of 1,000. Or sorry, 10,000 yen, which is about $100 right now with even exchange. That is happening right now. And those are usually at like the 7-Eleven ATMs. But the JP Post ones, the green looking ones that say JP Post or JP Bank from the post office, those allow you to take out increments of 1,000 yen, and it's fantastic, so I highly recommend that. Then essentially you have an option. You can take a left to go down this path right here, or you can take a right to go down this path. This leads to West Wing, as you see West 1, West 2, into a big circular area that goes around like this. You enter this circular area, and then you get to go into each of the halls, and then it's a big kind of like U shape. And then you can also go outside where people line up. Or you can take down this hall to go to East Hall, which East Hall is split into East 3, 2, 1, 4, 5, and 6. And there's an upper level here, and then you go down some escalators, and then you can enter these 3 areas. Let's talk about each of the halls. West Wing contains anything that is labeled with hiragana. If you ever look for any kind of circle online, which, as I mentioned, you can use online, you can literally just type in, a specific circle. You probably can circle plus the Comiket number. Usually I did like Othello Ice, one of my favorite circles. Shoes or Shuz does his works there. And I type in Comiket 90. Then you find the booth number. You will probably see after all the Japanese text some kind of label, maybe like the symbol for ka, and then it says 922. That's the table number, that's the symbol. So when you get in here, if you get a map of Comiket officially, there'll be maps lined up along each of these walls that you can actually view, and it will have all the tables listed. It'll be like A, K, S, T, N, H, M, R, Y, W, and then the consonant N, as with the vowel I, U, A, O, Sashi, Susei, So, Nani, Nune, No, etc. So it goes through each of those. You simply just find the hiragana number, or the hiragana character, and then the number of the table. So it'll be table 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and it goes down in order on each table, split up that way. That's how you find each table. So planning that ahead of time and knowing each and every single table and booth to go to, you'll find exactly what you're looking for, and that's how you can split it up and divide it. Now, I highly recommend getting the official guidebook, which I'll show you here as well, because that labels it a little bit better. But essentially, yes, that's the way you do it. Now, if you go to East Hall here, it's the same way. East Hall contains katakana symbols plus the letters A through Z. So instead of this, you might see A 324. Again, that's the table number, and that's the letter. Usually, the A's start along the wall, and usually the A, K, S, T, N, H, M also, well, the vowels in this case, I, U, A, O, usually start along the walls, and then it works inward. There's a specific division to it, but I don't really organize that. You'll also notice in this room there are giant pillars. Those pillars have labels on them as well. You'll actually see the character. You'll see a character for ka. You'll see a character for shi. You'll know exactly that that's the section you want to go to if you're looking for that. Otherwise, you can just follow the map and you'll know exactly what you're doing. Now, again, it probably takes about 20 minutes just to get from one end of the hall to the other end of the hall due to how crowded it is. It's ridiculous unless you cut through the middle. East Hall, katakana, and the numbers. So again, you look at some official website online before you go to Comiket. You find the day that they're selling the items. So it'll say day 1, 2, or 3. So either Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, because it's always on a weekend. And then you find the simple letter or the simple character, and you'll know exactly where to go. You plot that out on your map. You label each one like, okay, here and here and here, and you have all the little symbols right there, and you know exactly where to go, and that's how you plan your route. This hall, the West and the East Hall, are the Dojinshi. I highly recommend starting in those halls first before you go up these stairs outside to go to the cosplay area and also the commercial goods. When you go up these stairs, you actually exit the building, or you can go back out to the entrance plaza by just literally exiting out the way you entered. Go up these stairs, and it connects you to here. These stairs lead right here, this corner stair. And this whole section right here, which I'll put an X, is the cosplay area. You walk around the outside, and then you go around here to enter this area right here, which is the commercial goods on the 3rd floor. This section, a little cross I made there, a little like L shape, that's all the commercial goods on the 3rd floor. This is all the cosplay area. Now you'll see all the cosplay, which is kind of cool, but I highly recommend passing it by and going to the commercial area first, which I'll give you a more detailed area of the commercial area. Commercial area literally just has numbers. There's no hiragana, there's no katakana. It's just like booth 222. Go to booth 222, that's Type Moon's booth. The official guides will always have the actual labels for all the official commercial areas because those are the ones that pay to get the advertisements in the actual area. All the circle artists, they don't really pay the money to get in the guidebook because that costs, it's like advertisement costs, so they don't really want to spend that much money, and I wouldn't either. It probably costs a ton of money to get into the advertising section of the book. So the commercials will always have that, which is up here. And that connects basically above this building. And that's essentially how you navigate Comiket. It's pretty simple. Hopefully this map was a little bit helpful. Now I'll go into each of the details of some of the items as well, and then we can talk a little bit more about that. If you have any questions about this map specifically, of course, and even the bullet points I mentioned earlier for advice and tips, please feel free to ask me. I'm more than happy to help you. All right? Okay, so I've brought into the screen here now the Comiket 89 2015 Winter Guide. And I only really want to show you a few things in here because this is the guidebook. You can pick these up at Ami, usually for about 2,000 yen, weeks before Comiket happens. I highly recommend doing that. Or you can find something online where you can purchase it because they always sell these way before the booth actually opens. And so what I really just want to look in here for you is the labels. Here's another one of those maps that shows, in this case, East and West Wing again. The big central area, East, or sorry, this is West Wing. It doesn't actually have East Wing in here, but it shows you the West Wing. And then it also shows you the commercial goods up here, which I'll have to turn this. This commercial section. This is the staircase you come up. This is the cosplay area, and then you this area, and then you walk around the outside and enter that L shape for the commercial booth. What's really nice about this, though, is that it has this section right here. This is what you want. It shows you the entire L shape of all the booth numbers and all the areas you can come in here. So usually when you're coming from the cosplay section, you enter up at the top up here. I can't quite get it in the camera right now, but that's okay. And then it has a full labeled section of each of the booth numbers. You want to go to Clochette and see their games, go there. You want to go to G-Store, which has a lot of cool merchandise. Studio Dean's official booth is 334. Soft House Seal, Grandee. If you want to go to Pixiv, they have their own little station as well. All that stuff's labeled here. And the best part is later on in the book, you will actually see all the commercial booths with their small advertisement. So if you want to go to, for example, the Rail Wars booth, you go to 255 and what their big spiel is. For example, Charlotte was really big that year in Comiket 89. 213 was the key booth or the visual arts booth. So if you wanted to go there and check that booth out. And it actually labels specifically the booth numbers. So here's, for example, you have the Clochette games, including Waganama High Spec, one of the games that's being localized. That's 511. And then was at Comiket 89. You have the Gochumon booth, which is 451. This is really nice because you can see all the different advertisements for the specific booths. Sprite's booth that year was actually 525. It's right up there in that corner. So that's just something I highly recommend getting because it can help you plan out as well. It's not like an official map that's really that useful, but you can use it and it will help you out. Opening this up here, we also have, this is what the official merchandise booth looks like. So I pointed that out on the map and you'll actually see here, this is what it looks like. I got this large t-shirt. This is Comiket 90 actually. I got a large version of this t-shirt. You'll see she's holding the Pocari Sweat. You have like the official bag. Well, these are all different items, but you got like bento, you got t-shirts, you got all this different kind of stuff. And this is kind of the booth I recommend if you just want some kind of light souvenir. Very cheap, as you can see. Everything's usually under 4,000 yen to 5,000 yen. Very cheap, great items you can use. All right. Which brings me on to my next section. When you're actually exploring the commercial booth section, they actually have signs on each station with one of these. Usually it's a girl holding a sign and it has all the merchandise you can purchase. If it's sold out, they'll put a sticker across it, but this was Love Life Sunshine at the time. Literally it shows you 2,000 yen, you can buy this t-shirt. It's still sold there, so you literally can purchase all the individual items. They have big signs labeled in the official merchandise section that basically go through each of the items and what you can buy and if it's sold out. And so you can see like, buy the Gochumon bundle pack. It comes with a Chino t-shirt and some other little goodies like a keychain and a phone pass card and other things and a bag that you can carry around. And you've seen some of my videos where I've shown some of my Sprite stuff. That's essentially what you buy. You can also go on their websites to find specifically a whole list of what they're selling as well, like Dakimakura, etc. So definitely check it out. Totally worth it. Now for me personally, I ended up getting that t-shirt as I mentioned in that picture, but I've also ended up getting one of Shuz's or Shuz in Othello Isis Circle new comics. Now I also have gone to my website I used to print posters and have printed off this image for my room. You've seen the giant big breast Bikini One-sama Psycho in my room over there. in addition to his original character, Rico. And so I also got this official comic from Comiket 89 as well. I kind of have this as my guilty pleasure, so I'm really happy my friend ended up picking this up. He actually ended up picking this up in Akiba. And so that's the next point I kind of want to talk about here as well. At the end of Comic Market, when it ends, Akihabara will be extremely crowded. There will be crowds and crowds of people lined outside Melon Books because all the people, you know how the Japanese secondhand industry works, will sell back what they don't want, or they will try to pick up the leftovers that nobody was able to purchase at Comic Market, because some of the doujinshi artists actually sell some of their works at Melon Books. You can be lucky. You can go to Akiba Zone. You can go to Melon Books next to Roll and Roll Station. You can go to all the different sections, Toranadora Comics. All those different areas will have this stuff, but some of the sections are really lined up. This actually took my friend 2 hours to find. Luckily, I don't think Shoes is that popular of an artist. Maybe he's a big popular circle artist, but it's great. You can find a bunch of different merchandise. If you did miss Comic Market, go to Akiba, but remember that it's going to be extremely crowded, just like visual novel release days at the end of the month. Hey, I've stood in line for those too, so I know what it's like. Main thing you need to know, be patient. That's really what it comes down to when it comes to Comic Market. Be extremely patient, and you'll find what you're looking for. And then finally, the last image I just want to show you here is those attaché cases. This is actually ones from Japan. They're these little things. They're essentially, you can find a specific size, you put items in it, you close it, seal it up, and you can hold it against your chest. These are the best thing to carry around when you're getting your Comic Market Jojinshi. This in itself, the one I showed you, is that tiny. It's really not that big. It would fit easily in here. It's thin enough because Jojinshi usually aren't that long. It's thin enough, you put it in, good to go. You get a whole stack of them. You can buy like a small little stack like this and have plenty of them. If you have another friend that can carry them around for you, that's also awesome, because again, the more friends you have, the better. And that essentially is it, everybody. I hope you really enjoyed this video. I hope it was informative. I hope it helped you get ready for Comic Market. Hopefully it's a small little piece of advice. It's a little bit long of a video. You watch this video though, I think you'll be pretty confident. Now, I will try to label each section down in the comment section so you can help navigate it a lot easier. And of course, if you do have any personal questions for me about navigating Comic Market or where to find specific things sometimes, because it's different every year, please feel free to PM me on YouTube or just leave a comment in the comment section. Now, most of the time I am trying to reply to a lot of comments because I do appreciate the support and I always try to answer people's questions. But if it's just kind of like a, hey, I really love your videos, I love the compliments, but I'm probably not always going to respond to those. I will definitely respond to questions, though, that are specific to Comic Market. And so please leave comments in the comment section, and thanks, guys, for watching this video. And as I mentioned earlier at the beginning of this video, if you haven't checked out my other one about my character unboxing from July, feel free to check that out because this was a double upload. Thanks, guys, for watching, and we'll catch you in the next video. Peace out.